Get ready
for the most electrifying podcast,
Gente Talk. Hosted by husband and wife duo
Jorge La Voz
and Dr. Lonnie.
With over 8 billion people on this planet,
we aim to capture the stories changing the world,
experience intriguing pláticas,
laughter,
and interactive challenges that will captivate everyone,
including your abuelita.
Stay tuned, gente.
This is going to be a ride you won't want to miss.
Gregory Esparza is a singer, songwriter, actor, poet, and filmmaker, best known as the former lead vocalist of the iconic 1960s Eastside bands Thee Midniters and Cannibal and the Headhunters.
He also recently shared lead vocals on The Stars of East LA.
As a filmmaker, Gregory explored the complex relationship between the music industry and Chicana OX artists in his latest project, Tango, the greatest rock album never heard, where he served as both writer and director.
In addition to his artistic career, Gregory is a dedicated faculty lecturer at Cal State Los Angeles in Chicana o Latina o studies.
He earned his master's degree in the same field in 2023 and holds 2 bachelor degrees from UCLA in history and Chicana o studies.
Gregory's journey, marked by perseverance and key moments of recognition, led him to fulfill his dream of performing as the lead vocalist with Thee Midniters, all while highlighting the historical challenges faced by Chicana OX musicians in the industry.
Hello everybody, this is Jorge La Voz with Gente Talk Show alongside my co-host,
Dr. Lonnie.
And we want to welcome everybody once again to another great episode where stories that spark from the heart. So no celebrity gossip here. We have ordinary people with extraordinary stories, and today we have the pleasure of being with Gregory Esparza.
Yay!
Yay! So why don't we start off by telling us exactly who little Greg is?
Well, my hometown is La Habra, right? My mother was an only child. My dad, 9 brothers, 5 sisters from East LA. And so when they met and started their family, he says he wanted us raised outside of East LA. But, we're raised in La Habra, but he brought his music with him. So the oldies were from my dad as an influence in my life as far as music. And the ballad, the crooners, was my mom. Johnny Mathis, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole. So that was me as this little kid. The music was always playing. If I saw Elvis on TV, I'd be dancing in front of the TV. And my dad would always encourage me. He'd be like, "Oh, you can do that, you can do that." And then sometimes he'd say, "You can do it better." He was just always encouraging, right? So I'm guessing he said it to all of us, right? I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. But for some reason, I was hearing it. Maybe I heard it louder, but it was kind of that seed was planted. And I just loved watching Elvis. But also, what a lot of people don't know is Jerry Lewis. His comedy, as a little kid, his comedy was fun. So, in school, I would think it would be cool if I would just be walking along and then just trip and roll on the ground, right? Because to me, I'm like, this is what it is, right? Jerry Lewis. So I had a lot of fun with, I guess you could say, what we saw on TV, the music playing. And so my dreams as a little kid were planted really early on, just about the idea of that, thinking, oh, okay, I want to do that, right? But I would say right there, that's the seeds of it that then just continue to grow through the years as I start to figure out, first of all, like, can I sing, right? My voice. And then the voice to this very day is it's a constant journey. Finding, but not only finding, but creating your voice. And to this very day, so later when I play a little bit, that's still a continuation, because me singing and playing a guitar has really only been since 2021.
Really?
For real. I mean, I would say to my friends, if I could play the guitar and sing, and this is me thinking way back, I would have traveled the world and probably not come home for a very long time. Because I was in awe of my friends who could just play and sing. I could sing, once I figured that out through the years, but to be a singer without music or without a band, it has its its limitations, right? So it's like, well, I want to travel, but I need a band. And so that's a whole other experience as far as that journey of just being an entertainer, singer. But yeah, just only recently, you know. And I've written a few songs. The first was dedicated to my dad because, again, my childhood, thinking of growing up in La Habra, you know, was constantly the music, you know. And so my dad could play and sing the guitar. See, so he was always there representing that. So the guitars were always there, and I would pick them up and play, and I'd try and make noise and move my fingers around. But, you know, the coordination of singing and playing is just monumental. Some people have it, right? It's just
they're born with it.
You see these little kid prodigies. I mean, they're just boom. But for me, it's just a longer process. But we all have our own pathways, and I'm happy to be able to play and sing.
Well, we learned a lot about you, right? And your career right now as a singer and as a musician. But why don't we take a short break right now, because we have some more interesting questions for you, and I know your story gets even better.
All right.
So let's have a word from our sponsors.
So maybe you could share a little bit about how did you get into music in terms of recording artists and the professional part of it?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story in my experiences, because when I was watching the bands, most of the guys that I was seeing were, they were coming from like the sons of Rudy Salas or Mondragon, Willie Mondragon, Little Ray's son. So these guys were, they were that first legendary cohort from the rock and roll East LA 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. And so, you know, although my father played, he was never in a band. There's always this assumption that when you're brown, you're gonna sing only in Spanish. That's right. The expectation. But the point is that I was constantly in dream mode, on the outside looking in, and just honing my own a cappella, because I wasn't playing. I would just sing along to my favorite songs, and back then, you know, obviously way before internet, and, you know, just playing the records in my mom and dad's collection.
What were some of your favorite songs?
Well, if you go to the Midniters, it was kind of all of them. But the first one that I heard, which was, I was 16 when I finally played the Midniters album, and the first ballad was called "I Need Someone."
Do you have a little something? How does that go? For the folks who have no idea what that sounds like, give us a little line.
Sure.
All right.
I know I need someone to hold each day. And even though dark clouds come our way, darling, can that someone be you?
Ooh, all right.
Wow, look at that. He can sing.
Yeah.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. More than power, never. Ever after work is over. Harder, better, faster, stronger. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever. Hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever. Hour after hour, work is never over.
And we're back once again with the famous Gregory Esparza. Man, it's been great to, listen to your story and hear what a talented musician you are. You're a great singer.
Oh,
I mean, you can
you.
sing. You got some good vocals on you.
So I wanted to kind of chime in a little bit. Let's talk about how did you transition from, connecting and singing those songs when you were much younger to hopping into career?
Through the 90s, I was singing a cappella, just out in the neighborhoods, out in the streets, not busking, not anything organized. So that constant journey happens. When I'm in my early 20s, I actually found out that the Midniters were still performing. What's even more significant to this story that is strange too, is that by the time I was 19, I knew, and this is true, that I knew I was going to be their lead singer.
Really?
And
You felt
so-
like your soul felt it.
Yeah, there's things that happen where I remember that I was 19 with my cousin saying, wouldn't it be something to sing with the Midniters in a Valentine's concert, right?
You put
Their
that out in the
songs.
universe.
Right. So I didn't know they were still around. To me, even though they were around in the 60s and now you're talking about the late 80s, it was like, it might have been, in my mind, 100 years ago, right? So I didn't even know they were still performing. Now you're talking about late 90s. I meet the Midniters again. Let me see. At the time, I was also getting known for singing, and another person calls me Little Ray. And then now Little Ray is the first singer, along with Willie Garcia, of the Midniters. So you're talking the early 1960s. And Ray had said, I've heard a lot about you. I would like to hear you sing. And he invites me to where Sanctuary Studios is, where we just finished rapping on a significant song, a whole other story too. But the point is that Ray calls me and says, look, here's me sing. I sing in Midnighter songs. And he says, check out this book.
Did you sing something at that time to them? Did they want to sample?
I sang to Little Ray. So Ray hadn't been with the Midnighters since the 1960s. So it's all.
What was that like? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
In your mind, were you like, what am I going to sing? What was going through your mind in that moment?
Yeah, well, I had some go-to songs, so I knew I could knock these out a cappella, right?
So we're going to ask. What was the one you sang to him? Do you
That's
remember?
all.
Oh, that's
Oh,
can
yeah,
you do
that's
a little
Give
come
us a
on,
little
a
taste
little
test.
something.
I can only give you love that lasts forever, and a hand to hold when leaves begin to fall, and the only heart I own is for you and you alone. That's all. That's all.
Wow,
beautiful.
hired. They hired you on the spot. I can imagine that.
¿Estás buscando la casa de tu sueño? Bienvenidos a Excellence Bienes Raíces, donde ofrecen un excelente servicio y garantizan el éxito de tu inversión. Permite que Excellence te guíe a la casa de tus sueños. Porque cuando se trata de encontrar un hogar perfecto, Excellence es la única opción.
So here it is. It's after midnight. I'm in this graveyard shift. The call comes on my cell phone, and sure enough, it's him, right? He calls back, and he says, we have a show in 30 days. Do you think you can do it? And I said, yes, right? Now, here's the kicker on this whole story. It's January 2006, so what's a month away? Valentine's. It's that exact concert that I dreamt about when I was 19.
Talk about a dream come true.
Yeah, and it was like, wow. I got to tell you that I was prepared years in advance. I had dreamt about it and just stayed on that dream, this idea of singing with them, all these beautiful songs, right? And so those 30 days, Jimmy and I met a couple of times, and he wanted to hear me sing the catalog. So I sang all the songs. I could sing them all. I could sing over 40. The day comes, and of course, leading up to that show, we do about a 30-minute show. There's 14,000 people. At the time, it was at the HP Pavilion in San Jose. Valentine's Super Love Jam. Might have been in Art Laboe concert.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and there was several bands. One that comes to mind is Peaches and Herb, but obviously Malo and Tierra were on the bill. But doing all those shows, you know, you had the Intruders, the Manhattans, you had Gene Chandler, the Duke of Earl, right? These guys are like coming off the pages of history. So I do this show though. My dream literally comes true. And talk about being nervous. So like I was literally, and I'm not joking, I was literally, if I had to cross the street leading up to those 30 days to that concert, I was just like, I am not gonna get hit. I am not gonna twist my ankle. Nothing is gonna happen to me. I'm gonna make it to this show. And you know, it's just a mind-blowing experience.
Wow. What a fascinating story.
¿Están listos para algo nuevo? Descubre la alegría del baile con Prestige en Stevens Steakhouse. Ya seas principiante, intermedio o avanzado, Miguel y Jennifer te guiarán en cada paso del camino. Ven a bailar, reír y hacer nuevos amigos. Tu aventura comienza aquí. Now, segueing really quickly, because I think I have a two-part question. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges that you experienced in the journey, but also more important, the joy.
So in my mind, I was like, wait a minute, you know, it's like, I'm at the top of the mountain, standing right next to these guys, and I'm hearing this. And so understanding that the hardship as artists, right, it's always there, no matter what level. There's these challenges, in particular for the community as well. The community is not a wealthy community, and I could see that things that I thought about and imagined, that tough navigation of where do we fit, it factors in with all the bands through the generations. That I've even said just recently that even when you think of Los Lobos as probably the longest, most significant career and notoriety and Grammy wins, is still virtually underground. Like when I think of Chicana, Chicano, Chicanx music, in particular, the community, it's still a very underground music situation. So where my imagination is like the Midniters are these legendary figures and heroes, that there is this constant vision and dream of still wanting to attain this other imaginary idea of what it means to be successful in the entertainment and music business, right?
That's true.
So, which leads me into like, you know, this idea later on of like, well, what is it? You know, now it's like I start thinking about the fact that, you know, I've transitioned and I have this dual thing of a music life, but also having the privilege of teaching this whole other academic pathway. And so I'm able to sit with this history that I've been able to learn in these classes in the last few years, and then stand in front of a class and start talking about it more and being able to teach and lecture, and it's just on and on. But the point is that I could start looking back and asking other questions, in particular of, okay, so we have this history where the comforts and these riches, right? This, you know, fame of rock and roll. So if that's not really there historically, then well, what is it? Where's the value? So now I'm into this whole mind frame of finding and articulating the values of what we do, not only for ourselves but for the community. Because music speaks to everybody, right? All different communities. Obviously, it's with everyone. But I'm doing this particular kind of mining to articulate a different set of values and a different set of, you know, like what it is that, where are the riches? So it's a different kind of, instead of material value, there's something more in terms of like this spiritual give back. There's, you know, these healing ideas, because we know music is there for us in these ways. So we're messing and playing with frequency, sound. It just moves people, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm at in terms of like sizing up and seeing it and hearing it firsthand of this idea of these legends still wanting to make it. And that just led me on this whole other quest of like finding this other way of explaining what it is that we do this play,
Right.
but it's like serious play. It's
Yeah.
fun play, but it's serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll take a little break right now because we're
Okay.
coming to the end of our show. Unfortunately, I wish we had more time. But you know what? Hearing your story, it's amazing. Let's just take a quick short break because we're coming
All right.
back for some fun stuff. Welcome to Excellence Real Estate, where every corner holds the promise of home. At Excellence Real Estate, they're not just selling houses, they're opening doors to your future. From cozy starter homes to spacious family retreats, they can help you find your new home. Let excellence lead you home. Contact them today, because when it comes to finding your perfect fit, excellence is the only option. So we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to our finale of this
So
podcast.
quick. It's so
It's going by
fast.
quick. There's not enough
Yeah.
time. I think we should make more time.
We should be talking like about a lot of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
We just
Right,
quick.
right.
But let's summarize. I mean, your story, Gregor, has been very interesting. It seems like you had a great childhood. You had a very healthy relationship with your father, who you looked up to, who had a big influence in your musical career. And then the story that you just mentioned, you know, about the Midniters and, you know, this dream come true. You know, it's what you had dreamt as a 19-year-old, right? And,
Oh, yeah.
and then it turned into a reality. But right now, what I would like is for you to give some words of encouragement, of advice, of inspiration to all the musicians out there, all the Latino X, Chicano X, where you know they're musically inclined, but maybe they haven't found that niche like you did. What can you do to help them out?
Yeah, I would always talk about just if you have a dream, like just play with it, follow it, think about it, dream the dream, right? And in particular, you know, like doing this academic work as well, like I talk about the arts and balancing this idea of traditional academic work, like, you know, just the power of writing being a creative act, right? Gloriana Saldua will speak about writing as a creative act as well as all the other forms, but to basically just keep on the idea of not finding because you come from a place of loss, but creating. That I go back to just this power of play, fun. You know, music is fun. As it gets serious, songs can be serious, but you know, again, we're playing with this childlike energy. But when, especially talking to undergraduate students, and I say, you know, this is like that. It might feel like child's play. I go, but what we're missing is that there's a lot of things that can be taken care of with this kind of energy, right? So it's like shifting our ideas about what is fun and play, and that it might seem childlike, but to also realize, you know, this other energy and power that we're playing with in this academic space. So I'm thinking just academically as well, even if they're not directly calling themselves artists, but we still have the ability to be creative. You know,
True.
which is why I feel that the work that I'm trying to articulate and imagine is reshaping the idea of what value systems are, because we all run into this idea that, you know, we're measured by the idea of the arts, get a real job, you know, type thing, or we're measured by how much money is in your bank account. And so that's why it's important for me when I'm speaking in particular to Latinx, Chicanx artists, is that, you know, you do your art, you do your craft, and, you know, if we understand the power of that work, then these other kind of heavier material types of ideas that are attached to it because of our the pressures of like what is valuable in the Western sense.
I agree with you because you're right. You touch very good points. You know, society nowadays, and you can see it on social media throughout. You know, is heavily influenced by just the so-called success of material wealth and if you drive a Ferrari, if you have this big mansion, or, you know, just talk about all that. And, you know, I'm not saying money and all that, it's not a good thing, but people are successful in other ways. And that's exactly why we created this podcast, because we want to hear these stories where people like you are successful, and hopefully our message to inspire these creative minds of the future will enable them and empower them to follow their dreams just like you did.
Right. I wrote this song of all nights on Christmas Eve.
So you wrote it.
2023.
So this is your song.
Jagged Road. Yeah, it's one
Okay.
of my originals.
All right, let's hear it.
I've been down a jagged road. I've been accused of loving too hard. I missed a plane, I missed a train. I've seen the world turning on its side. There are many years of sweet romance, way past Monday on a Monday night. They rated him, but I put up a fight. They couldn't understand that I was made for the night. World went ooh, little vignettes. I can keep going if you want.
All right.
Oh, that's amazing.
Go.
All right, here we go. Let me see. It's still new. I lost my phone in a taxi cab. Toledo, Spain, I shall return. Didn't speak the same language, but we made sweet love. I kissed her thighs when I was down on my knees. Life has a way of leaving you wanting more. But you gotta have courage to knock on the door. I couldn't forget about that one thing you said. The record always skips at that one little part. I knew I loved her right from the start. And Pop said, don't look for trouble, it will find you on a jagged road with a heart of gold. She always said that my life was charmed, just a man with a message of love. And still 3 times they put a gun to my head, but I'm lucid living even after I'm dead in the cosmos.
Wow. All right. Woo, look at that.
That's Jagged Road.
And that's off of your latest
I
album,
haven't
right?
even recorded it.
Oh, so
Not
it's
yet.
not quite- okay.
I'm gonna go in and record it, and I think I'm gonna do it at Sanctuary.
So you folks are hearing it first, actually, right? This is technically
This is
going to be
it.
like your first
Yeah.
public appearance with this song. That's great. Thank
So
you
I'm
for sharing
playing with it.
something
Yeah.
so
Well, thank you
intimate.
very
Thank
much, Gregory. It's been great having you here. Your story
you.
has
Thank
been
you.
amazing, and again, to all our followers out there that are watching us, that are listening to us, our goal for this podcast once again is to inspire not just young minds, but everyone has, even if they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, man, woman, young child, doesn't matter. We all have dreams, we all have goals, and it's never too late to pursue them. Would you agree?
I would agree. Never too late.
Never too late.
Never too late.
You know?
So, Jorge La Voz here with Gente Talk Show.
And Dr. Lonnie, hasta la próxima.
Be sure to follow us and subscribe.
This is going to be a ride you won't want to miss.